Hey everyone, this is Nick, and if you followed the Twitter acquisition saga, you might have seen that Elon Musk has plans to turn Twitter into the everything app. Now, whether you like what Musk is doing with Twitter or not, that's not the point of the video. The point is that this everything app vision is a freaking nightmare for every potential user, whether it's coming from Twitter or from anybody else. So let's talk about this and see why no one should want Twitter, or any other app for that matter, become the everything app. And let's also talk about the everything segue to today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by AlmaCare, and you probably already know about AlmaLinux, the replacement to CentOS. It's free of charge, it's managed by the community, and it's backed financially by AlmaCare. Well, if you plan to run AlmaLinux in production environments, or if you already do, now you can get commercial support from AlmaCare as well. With AlmaCare, you get 16 years of support for AlmaLinux, with security updates and new hardware support, so your fleet is more stable, maintenance costs are reduced, and your hardware can be used longer. You will also get a dedicated repo for all AlmaLinux packages, so you get updates faster. It also includes live patching support, so you can keep your kernel up to date without rebooting your systems and with zero downtime. And of course, you get commercial support for a wide range of packages like Ansible, Kubernetes, MariaDB and MySQL, containers, and more. Basically, if you want to deploy AlmaLinux in commercial production environments, you need AlmaCare, and you can learn all about it by clicking the link in the description. So, what is an everything app? Well, Elon Musk has shown a few slides of the vision he has for Twitter. The first one is advertising as entertainment, which should immediately be a red flag because advertising isn't entertainment, it's a way to make you buy products. But more seriously, this is a slide deck for the company, so it's meant to incite enthusiasm for the vision inside of Twitter. And advertising is what makes Twitter money. So it's logical to want to improve ads on Twitter so they are perceived less negatively. Now, the real features though are the following: video, encrypted direct messages, long-form tweets, the blue verified program, and payments. That Twitter 2.0 vision is relatively simple. It's having one single app where people, companies, and creators can exchange short messages, articles, videos, direct messages that would be encrypted, and also payments. Plus a way to control who is who using the verified program, which hasn't been a complete success for now. Now, it would mean that there's a big incentive to use Twitter for all of these things. Because as a creator, why would I use different platforms for my videos, my articles, and my social posts if I can use my Twitter following for everything? I wouldn't have to rebuild an audience on multiple platforms, especially if I can monetize all these things on Twitter directly. As a general user, I can just follow the people I like in one single place. No need to use 10 apps to see everything. And since I'm already there for the videos and articles and tweets, why not also use the DMs in here to talk to my friends instead of using a separate app? And at that point, the payment feature makes sense. If everyone I talk to is in there, I can send them money directly without using another account in another app. And since I set up a payment method, why not use Twitter to pay in real life as well? And on paper, it's kinda cool as a vision. Instead of having tens of apps and services and trying to remember which does what and who is where and how you can talk to somebody or follow somebody, you have one app, a one-stop shop for every of these needs. Of course, it only works if everyone jumps on board. If you still have more than half of your contacts that are not using Twitter and that are using other fragmented applications here and there, then you're not likely to jump onto Twitter to do everything. But let's assume it works out though. There are some big problems with that vision. The first issue is control. If everyone uses Twitter for their social network needs, for their videos, payments, article reading, day-to-day messaging, then Twitter controls major parts of the internet. They control communications with all your DMs and group conversations, and all the day-to-day background noise that is social media. They control monetary exchanges between people and between people in various stores or websites. And they control the content people watch and read with articles and videos and their own algorithm. One company should not have that amount of control over what people see or do on the internet. Hey, wait a minute, how is that different from what Apple, Google, or Microsoft are doing right now? Well, the big difference is that with these companies, you can mix and match the services you use. You can use an iPhone, but not use Apple Pay without it being a hindrance. You can use Chrome and Google Search, but access your news through any other website than Google News without a problem. The difference is that these companies offer an ecosystem of services. They're all connected, they all work better if you use them all together, but they're not wrapped in a single access point. Even Android and iOS aren't limiting you in setting default apps nowadays. If all your services are inside of a single application, then you cannot mix and match. When your mom asks you on Twitter to give her some money once again because she overspent on microtransactions in Candy Crush, then the Give Mom Some Money button cannot be mapped to another payment service than the one Twitter will use. When your little cousin Billy tries to coerce you into playing COD Warzone by saying that he banged your mom, which you just sent money to, then the Tell Billy to Naff Off button cannot be remapped to another application than Twitter's DMs. This means that if you want to use another service, you have to close Twitter, open another app, find the contact you want to interact with, tap on it, and do the action you want. You would have zero integration with the application everyone basically lives in the rest of the day, which would be Twitter. And that kind of friction would mean that people just use the default, which is what Twitter would provide. That's the main difference. Today's friction when leaving an ecosystem comes from setting the default once. The friction from the Everything app would be changing that default every single time you want to repeat that same action. And of course there's another problem, a privacy problem. Yeah, since everything you do is in one single application, this also means your profile in this specific app is incredibly big and valuable to advertisers. Imagine this goldmine. Twitter would know which companies you follow, what you liked, who you talked to, what article you read, which videos you watched, which contacts you talk to the most, what you talk about with these contacts, who you sent money to, what you buy online or even in real life. Currently, no company has that amount of data. Even Google is missing the social media part. Sure, they know that you went to Facebook, they know you clicked that link, but they don't know which terrible boomer meme you shared with your grandma. And that's precisely why a company might want to build the Everything app, to have the biggest profiles on people, especially since people would be heavily motivated to be verified, since Twitter basically said that once Twitter Blue is live for everyone, if you don't have it, you don't exist in the eyes of the algorithm. With a bunch of verified customers that willingly confirmed who they are in real life, the data is even more valuable. And this nice, big, juicy profile is definitely a privacy nightmare. You would have zero control over what you share and zero ability to replace some of these services with ones that are private, because Twitter will not let you plug in some other services instead of the ones they provide. It's not an OS, it's an app. Oh, but things don't stop there, because now there's also a security issue. With that amount of data available on so many people, Twitter becomes the prime target of choice for hackers. Now, sure, Twitter wants to encrypt the DMs, but no encryption is invulnerable, and the rest of the data might still be accessible. Even if it's not credit card numbers, they could access the information users supplied to be verified. They could access payment history on websites to try and do some phishing. Or if we're not talking about hackers trying to make a profit, but hackers trying to launch some disinformation campaigns, just knowing what certain people watch and at which time might be enough for them to increase their reach and bombard people with false information, propaganda, and more. And then there's the law, because if a government decides that they want access to all of their citizens' data, then Twitter becomes the prime choice for them, and they will be compelled to give that information to the government of the country they operate in. Which means that now your government knows everything about every single one of their citizens, which, depending on your religious beliefs, your political orientations, your sexual orientations, your ethnicity, might be a very, very big problem. So, by now it should be clear that the Everything app is pretty undesirable. But I can see a big sentence coming up. If you don't like it, just don't use it. Except the world doesn't work like that, because if everyone else uses Twitter as their all-in-one communication, social, entertainment, and payment solution, then if I want to be part of their lives, I also have to use it. If I don't, I'm excluded from everything. If everyone uses Twitter for everything, then the expectation is that you also do. And if you don't, then you're excluded from their social lives. So it's not as simple as just don't use it. But fortunately, this vision will probably never happen. Because the elephant in the room is WeChat. WeChat is the everything app for China. WeChat lets you, well, chat in text and video form, but it also lets you pay, post articles and lock them behind paywalls. It lets you create your own store online. It lets you collaborate with other people you work with. It has video channels, live streams, translation, a search engine, shipment tracking, and more. But WeChat managed to lock people into their application because at the time when it introduced these features, China did not have an alternative in place for these features, which meant that WeChat solved a problem for Chinese users. Twitter becoming an everything app doesn't solve any problems people have. Everything this new vision offers is already available, and the other options are already very popular. YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch already corner the video and streaming market. Chat features are already completely split up between WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, iMessage, and more. Articles and long-form content go completely against the very basic purpose of Twitter, which is sharing small messages. And people who want a personal social network for their family and friends use Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram. And payments are already either handled by your bank, Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay. There is no need here for another all-in-one option. So, fortunately, the Twitter 2.0 vision is very unlikely to end up being the everything app that everyone else uses. Because while some people will find it convenient to have everything in the same place, a lot of people will just never abandon what they already know, use, and like just to move on to the Twitter alternative just because they have a Twitter account. The incentive is not there. Facebook tried it. They added anything and everything they could think of, or that they could steal from someone else. Stories, filters, polls, games, articles, payments, store, events, notes, places, photos, videos, streaming, podcasts. Facebook tried again and again to be the everything app. Twitter 2.0 is nothing new. It's what Facebook has been trying to accomplish since its creation. But it never worked, because by the time Facebook implemented these features, people were already used to other websites and other applications offering the same feature, and just because they had a Facebook account didn't mean that they would switch entirely to the Facebook offering instead. And fortunately for Twitter, it's probably going to go the same way. But in the end, the only real way to make sure that this vision doesn't happen is to not use the features as they appear on Twitter. Just like this segue to today's sponsor appeared out of nowhere. If you need a new computer and you plan to run Linux on it, stop looking at Windows computers. Click the link in the description below. You'll be taken to Tuxedo's website, which is a company that ships worldwide and has devices that have been picked and built specifically to run Linux. The hardware is specifically selected because it's compatible with Linux. So you remove a ton of the headache. And honestly, they have so many choices and price points that they should have something that answers your needs. From the smallest, more affordable laptop to the biggest ultrabook or workstation tower, they have it. They have plenty of customization options. You can open the laptops up and the desktops and repair them and upgrade them. And you can pick your own custom keyboard layout to be engraved on the keys of your laptop, or your own custom logo or no logo at all on your computer. So if you need a new computer, you plan to run Linux on it, click the link in the description below and get yourself a Tuxedo laptop or desktop. So, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't hesitate to like, to subscribe, to turn on notifications, and to write a comment. And if you didn't like the video, then you can also dislike it and tell me why in the comments as well. And if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, there's a super thanks button underneath the video, there's a PayPal link in the description, and there are links to my Patreon memberships and YouTube memberships. Both of them get access to a weekly podcast, exclusive podcast, and the right to vote on the next topics that I'll cover. So if you're interested, both links are down there in the description. In the meantime, thank you all for watching, and I guess you'll see me in the next one. Bye!